Hey everyone. Again, my name is Steven, and this is a heart and mind moment. And I invite you to take a deep cleansing breath with me. So take a deep breath in and release the breath out. So I'm enjoying my Sunday afternoon at home, and I had an interesting experience about an hour ago. I was attending an online recovery meeting, and the person who spoke about the things that he likes about himself. So he went off on this whole list of things that he likes about himself, because there is a part of 12-step recovery where we list not just our character defects, but we also list our character assets. And I remember years ago when I was new to recovery, and I was invited to create a list of things I liked about myself, things I thought that were valuable about myself. And honestly, at first it was challenging for me to come up with a whole list of things. And I thought that was really valuable information for me. And over the years, that has improved tremendously. Um, so, watching and listening to this man share these things about himself with us was wonderful. It was fascinating. It was interesting for me because there was a little part of me that that kind of laughed at it for a moment. Um, kind of looked at it as like boasting. Like, it kind of made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Of like, oh, he shouldn't be talking like that so freely about the things that it loves about himself. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, Stephen. You still have a little bit of work to go on that. And I can liken that to something that my husband Lee exposed me to years ago when we first got together. That there's this thing, and they call it tall poppy syndrome in the UK and maybe even in Australia, where one tries not to stand out in the crowd, to get so full of themselves, to sort of play themselves down. You don't want to be the tallest poppy when all the other poppies aren't as tall. Then you really stand out. So I think that's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. And what I loved about what this gentleman did today was that he identified all the things that he just loved about himself, and there was a long list, and as it should be. you know we should love many aspects of ourselves. So I felt like it would be a good exercise for me, and maybe even a good exercise for you, to name the things that you love about yourself. And I'm going to get us going by naming some things that I love about myself. I'm going to be a tall poppy. I think one of the things I love about myself, one of the first things I love about myself are my eyes. I love my eyes. My eyes are hazel. You don't see them very clearly because I have my prescription glasses on that tint right now, but they're hazel, and I've always thought they were very beautiful. And ever since I was a child, I would always get people would always comment on my eyes. People would often comment on the eyes of the men in my family. So that I love my smile. I really enjoy my smile. Um, I love looking at pictures of myself with, myself smiling, and so I enjoy that. And I think sometimes my smile makes other people smile, so that's nice. I love my laugh. My husband says that I have several different laughs. Like, maybe he thinks I have like 10 different laughs. I don't know about that, but I know I have several different ones, and I just love to laugh, and I think laughter is contagious. Um, I love my creativity. I've always been a very creative person. Um, Ever since I was a child, it didn't take much to spark my creativity. and I think that's carried on well into my adulthood. Um, I just love being creative in so many different ways. I think just making this video for you is an expression of my creativity. Um, I love my courage. I have courage. I have courage and the ability to do the hard stuff in my life. And I think I've always been that way. I think when it's come to taking an action that would allow me to be true to myself, I found myself to be much more willing to take the risk by being true to myself than to suffer the consequences of not being true to myself. So I really love and appreciate the courage that I seem to have been born with. I love my body. And it's an interesting thing for me to say that, my whole life, I've always been, well, most of my life, I've been thin. Um, and at some points more muscular than I am now, and I think that has a lot to do with just genetics, but also just years of training and just being really active. But an interesting thing happened this past year, well into the pandemic, where I allowed myself to gain weight, and not necessarily gain weight like a bodybuilder gains weight to gain more muscle. I just allowed myself to gain weight and developed a belly and a big butt, and I put on more weight than this body had ever carried before. I think at my heaviest I was somewhere between 205 and 210, and right now I average at about 180, 83. So, that's anywhere from 20 to 25 or more pounds more on this frame than I have right now. And even with the extra weight, I love my body. I love the new curves. I love the rolls. I love the I don't know. I just felt it was a very interesting experience to be embodied in that body. So I can say that I love my body in all of the different shapes and sizes that this body has taken on. I love my ability to learn. I've always been a very curious person, and I would say that in my adult years, particularly in my 40s, I have tried to be more teachable. I think well into my 30s and 40s, tried to be more teachable, willing to grow, willing to change, willing to learn. But in my 40s, also, I went back to school, and I became a very different student than I was in my earlier years, and I really appreciated my ability and desire to learn and all that my brain can do. I love that I am empathic and compassionate. I love that part of myself, that I have the ability to feel what other people are feeling, and to be able to put myself somehow, some way in their shoes. Um, that's something that I don't ever want to lose, and I'm very grateful for that. I love my sense of humor. I love to laugh, like I said earlier, and I love, my husband and some of my other friends laugh at me because I I just love physical comedy. Like, I'm not one to stand up and just tell jokes, but I am one to do funny things with my body, to make others laugh. And I try to do it at just the right time. And lastly, and I think I can go on beyond this, but I'll stop at this next one. I love my childlike wonder. There are aspects of me that, are just fascinated by life and all the wondrous things that life on this planet offers me. Um, and certain things will just catch my eye, catch my attention, and it will just ignite childlike wonder in me. So I I appreciate that about myself. So that is my list of what I like about myself, and I want to extend an invitation to each and every one of you to think about what it is that you like or love about yourself. And if you have difficulty coming up with things that you love or like about yourself, I invite you to look at that. Just pause and reflect upon that. And then take a deep breath and see if you can just push that aside for a moment and think about a handful of things that you love about yourself, you like about yourself. And one last thing I'd like to request, that you share one or two of those things that you found or discovered, that you feel okay, comfortable sharing with us, all of us, in the comments. Because I'm also a big, not only celebrator of myself and the things that I like about myself, but I also love celebrating other people and celebrating all the wonderful things about other people. So thank you for taking this time to have a heart-mind moment with me. I love sharing this with you, and I'm wishing you all a really beautiful and blessed day. I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.